Well, interesting. Thank you so much for that, Sharad. Also at this hour, joining us, Shrikant Chouhan, Senior VP, Technical Research, Kotak Securities, and Dharmesh Kant, Head, Equity Research at Cholamandalam Securities. Welcome, both of you, gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Shrikant, let me come to you with regard to the Nifty Bank. I mean, especially the private bank move today. Till yesterday, we were getting support from the PSU banks. Today, it's the private banks entering and leading from the front. What's the sense like, and what's the outlook like on some of the benchmarks?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So, say like for today's overall setup of the market, we are seeing good amount of support from private banks, and especially HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank. They did really well. It was completely missing, and maybe because of the RBI policy also, where there was some expectations that governor may cut interest rate this time also, but that has not happened. And because of that, maybe we are seeing good amount of interest in all private banks. So based on the current setup and the way the market has crossed the psychological level of 24,800, we are of the view that the Nifty is heading towards the levels of 25,000. In case if there is any correction close to 24,700, 750, then there we should look for taking long bets in the market. In fact, I'm of the view that we should look for adding even at current levels long positions with a stop loss close to 24,700 on the downside. Bank Nifty is doing well. And this time the Bank Nifty has made a higher bottom, which is extremely positive, I can say. Yes, it depends upon whether it crosses the level of 56,000 or not. But while looking at its entire setup and the way there is positivity from PSU banks as well as private banks, this time the Bank Nifty should, I think, cross the level of its previous high. So broadly, I'm of the view that the market is going to see some more bullish days in next few days.
Coming in, Dharmesh, do you mirror that view as well? And given the way the markets have performed in the last 10 Octobers, like my colleague Sharad was just highlighting, where do you think the support is going to come now, if at all you believe that this could yet be another year of October being a good month for the markets? Given the kind of sector churn we've seen, where do you think leadership could be seen?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I think the leadership from here on should lie with the financials, particularly the banks. And given the fact that today RBI policy, had there been a rate cut, nothing like it. But having said that, still the policy framework is, very supportive of the entire banking space. For the likes of, say, the loan against shares going from 20 lakhs to 1 crore rupees, or IPO funding going from 10 to 25 lakhs. At the same time, now banks can fund merger and acquisition. So these are broad structural changes where, private sector banks were very aggressive earlier, and public sector banks have also changed their stance, and with new management taking place in most of the public sector banks, I think they are aggressive to take the bet. At the same time, the risk-weighted asset, some cushion out there on the home loans for personal home loans and MSME segment should also augur well. The other thing, this rate cut has not come this time around. What this has done, this has given the banks the time to consolidate on their NIMs and focus on more NI growth. So I think structurally it's a very good environment for banks now, which was not, leading from the front. They were stagnating in the range while defense, infra and other counters were picking up. So our sense is now banking and financials will take the lead. And both private and public sector banks are cherry picking can be done there, and they should be leading it from the front. So whether it is 25,000, 25,500, but the sector which will be outperforming in this leg of the run-up will be banks.
The cabinet meeting has begun, and we so far have two big announcements coming in. First is the cabinet has approved 3% hike in dearness allowance for central government employees and pensioners. And second, and the bigger announcement coming in, is that the cabinet has approved, they've approved the MSP, the minimum support price for Rabi crops coming in. So that's two big announcements coming in from this cabinet meeting. I just want to get your sense on the kind of move we can expect to see in some of the Agri related stocks. Dharmesh, your view on something like a fertilizer or agrochems, because MSP now announced on Rabi crops, so you had a very healthy monsoon too. Where do you think some of these allied sectors are headed?
A bigger positive move for all these allied sectors, particularly the fertilizer pack should be doing well because once the monsoon has been good, so the moisture content in the soil is very conducive for fertilizer to play its own part. So I think this is a good news as far as few of fertilizer companies are concerned. Be it, I mean, one is from our group companies was Fact and others, GNFC and all can be looked into there. Chambal fertilizer is also there. But this news at this juncture, to my mind, is a bit of a, you could take it with a pinch of salt because the government has already cut GST rate, direct tax rate cut has also been there, and there's a fiscal burden. And with this DNS allowance hike of 3%, with the subsidy coming in, it can have a fiscal strain. So that can play out negatively on the entire infra spending going forward when the next budget is presented. So it has to be seen how it plays out. But to my mind, I mean, broadly for macroeconomic perspective, from infra growth, which was driving the corporate earnings so far, there would be a bit of a problem with this kind of allowances being given. But as you asked, for the fertilizer pack, it's decent use.
Okay, what about Pharma, Dharmesh? The move that Lupin has made today looks extremely strong, whereas the opportunity in terms of the news was just $11 million opportunity. Trying to understand and break this down, 4% on a Lupin on the back of that. Does that make sense? And if so, what is the street seeing?
See, Pharma has been all over the places at the lower end of the trajectory because of the news flow surrounding them. And for last few months, there has been will it or will it not be kind of a tariff policy hanging around them. Lupin, I mean, it's a bit of better off than others because their exposure to US market is not that high. But at the same time, our sense is this is going to play out, the tariffs on pharma, maybe later, if not sooner. So it's a better avoid structurally for the timing, at least for next couple of quarters, till the time, tariff issue between US and India is resolved. If that is there, then one can have a relook at all these companies. Having said that, the numbers of Lupin for the last quarter was excellent set of numbers. They did aggressively well in all the geographies with margins going up at the same time the profitability going up. So this opportunity size may not be that great, but nonetheless they have been doing well from the generic play space and the API plays. So that way fundamentally it looks very valuable. But again, we are staying away from the entire pharma space just till the time this hanging sword is not out of the way.
Okay, Shrikant, do you have a technical view on this one?
On pharma companies, we are specifically bullish
Okay.
with a view of at least next 3 months. But in the short run, we are going to see volatile activity in the sector. The reason is because most of these stocks have fallen to their extreme important support levels. Valuations are also compelling. Most of these stocks have decent upside based on their fundamental value as well as based on their technical formation. But at the same time, because they have fallen to their extreme levels, it will take some time to show real strength in the market. So for the time being, we are expecting range bound sort of activity. But yes, specifically, we like Lupin Laboratories. We are also bullish on Sequent Scientific, and we are also more like focusing on Apollo Hospitals. So most of the Apollo Hospitals are on our watch list, healthcare related stocks. But in that, Apollo Hospital looks really strong candidate to buy and hold.
Those are some of the preferred stocks coming in on Nifty Pharma from Shrikant. But let's move on to